the activity, it launches a sales navigator inside the CRM, which actually inherits all the data in the CRM that is known about that activity. And Clever then navigates that person through the live customer engagement conversation. And so it allows the agent, the salesperson, to really collaborate with the customer, to work with them on diagnosing customer need. It's totally dynamic, it's agile, so it works with data points that if the customer changes direction, it'll change with them. And essentially it allows them to solution with the customer in real time. And once the solution outcomes have been agreed, it fires back those outcomes into the CRM for processing. So we really, essentially, we are not trying to be an operating system. What we are doing is we are navigating the human being through that complex engagement based on all policy, procedure, product rules, ensuring they get it right absolutely. And then basically we then fire back into operating systems for them to do their jobs. What also is interesting is the logic that we start building can also augment a chatbot, for example, so that when you are, instead of a human interface, you're wanting to have a digital interface, it can leverage the same logic that we build in digital front ends as well. So it allows us to actually create a deep intelligence for the organization that they can leverage across all their touch points.
Wow, interesting. So, I mean, I see on your website that you have a great deal of customers. What is the most inspiring feedback that you've got from them since the launch or up to now?
I think one of the most memorable experiences has been actually in a financial environment where we built a digital financial advisor for people in a retail branch when you walk in and ask, for example, for a loan. And when the executives were interviewing the consultants who were using Clever, they had a significant rise in their sales. I think they had a 52% increase in sale closure and 20% increase in cross sales. And so obviously that got everybody's interest. And when the executives were interviewing quite a few of these sales consultants, the one sales consultant actually started to cry in the interview, and we were all sitting there, and it was a bit awkward. And the executives were apologizing and saying, we're sorry, we didn't mean to intimidate you, we're just trying to understand. And this lady stopped them and said, actually, I'm not crying because I'm feeling intimidated. I'm crying because I'm feeling emotional. And the reason I'm feeling emotional is because I'm a single mother. I've got 2 children, and I actually really need this job. I've worked for your branch for the last 3 years. And for the last 3 years, every day I come to the branch terrified that I'm going to make a mistake, that you're going to penalize me for, and I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
And what this has done for me is it's taken the weight off my shoulders. I no longer worry that I'm going to make a mistake. I just need to follow the navigator. And what I can now do is do what I actually love, and that is serving customers, because that's really what I joined your business to do, was to have customer conversations that I could add value to. And that was the aha moment for me, is that she really articulated our whole purpose, and that is she felt rehumanized, that she no longer worried about spending her life preventing error, and rather she could focus on adding value. And that what Clever had done was fundamentally remove the anxiety that she had of navigating through these complex sales formulas, compliance rules, and she no longer had to worry. And that she could focus on her differentiator, which was her personality. And I think that's a theme that we're seeing more and more in contact centers, where there is so much stress, where they're leaving jobs within 2 to 3 weeks because they're failing, and they're getting hammered because of their poor performance. Suddenly, it's as if they are given a second life, and they're saying, we are not paying you to memorize and replicate. Just follow this navigator. It is dynamic. It'll change routes for you. We want you to be the best you that you can be. And that, for us, is why we do what we do.
Fantastic. Yeah, these are exactly the examples that I want to share on this podcast, and happy to be on the phone with you with regards to that. So, if you would give an advice to colleague ISVs, because that's also that's my target market at the end, what would you advise them to rethink in terms of how they develop solutions?
I think some of the lessons that we've learned, I think, in developing solutions is is that if we start with the idea, the concept, and we get caught up in, for example, how we build the concept, we often forget the reason for our solution, the reason for the deliverable. And we've learned that actually start with the end in mind, start with the user, start with the value that you want to add, and then work backwards. Because I think in technology, we get so excited about our own technology, and we forget about how this technology actually is going to unlock value in the very environments that we're building it for.
True.
So all I could say is we got exceptionally excited about solving the problem of capturing complex logic, and so we were deep in the technical architecture of solving this technical problem. But actually, that was only part of it. Making our technology and our solution work in the human system, in the organizational system, was in fact far more of a challenge and far more of a barrier for us to get over. And I think that's something that all of us can learn is just having a wonderful tech solution that theoretically will work in a perfect world isn't going to land it. It's starting with the actual granular truth of where our solution hits the ground, and working backwards and removing all the barriers for us to land in that space. That's been our learning is to get a lot more pragmatic around the operationalization of our solution, as opposed to the intelligence and brilliance of our solution.
That's a wise piece of advice, and I think a lot of companies could benefit from doing exactly that. And I think the solutions that would come out of that would then have a fundamentally different impact.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
So we, as a technology, are on our internationalization journey. We are our two key areas of focus have been in the contact center. We really have a strategy of being in every contact center, rehumanizing those environments, and we want to scale very quickly in that area. And then the second area is in areas of compliance, where so much human energy is spent not making a mistake. And we want to try and as quickly as possible help our clients build digital navigators that can just take away that need and just say, we actually just need you to follow these rules. They're complex, they're important for you to do it. And instead of training you on it and trying to get your brain to replicate it, we're just going to give you a digital navigator or expert immediately. So our aim in our next plays are going to be to essentially try and remove any human need to memorize or replicate a decision or action that is driven by a compliance rule, to literally have that done digitally, and in a contact center and in a sales and service contact center environment, as well as in mobile sales. Remove the need for the sales and service people to know their products, processes, and policies, and rather get them to be specialists in the art and science of communication, customer experience. That's our dream. And we want to try and get into as many organizations that have those challenges as we possibly can.
I can assure you there are many. This is the big challenge at the end for any service type of organizations, or even product-centric organizations. Final question. Since there is an audience, of course, on the other end, what would be your big ask if you could get the audience to help you? How could they give you insights or come up with a new quest?
I think for me the help would be in two areas. Help in terms of in the broader area which we deal with is how do we actually take this concept of digital intelligence and how do we actually operationalize it very quickly in ways that are beyond just for me quite light applications and not life-changing. So for example, just the fact that I can do intelligent, I can spend my time in augmented reality and gaming, and I can spend my time in improving how Amazon predicts what I need, etc., so I can consume more. those are okay, but those aren't changing society. I think for me, I would love to learn and get insights around how we can get digital intelligence to fundamentally change the human condition, and that people can at the deep level be allowed to rehumanize themselves, and any insights around how we can do that quicker, so that we don't have to get into a situation where the debate is simply about replacing human beings, undervaluing them, getting automation to just remove huge swaths of jobs without the consideration of how do we unlock human value very quickly so that people can win out of this journey and not just a few very wealthy capital owners. So I'd love to get that insight from everybody, and then secondly, if anybody has insights around how we can improve our strategy and our way of doing that, and are in that space and would like to partner with us and would like to help in this journey, we would love to learn from you and would love to partner with you.
Thank you very much. I think these are two good questions to ask, and hopefully there's some response coming to that. Ryan, thank you very much for your time and for your inspiring story.
Thank you for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.